Trae Young, Ice Trae, Trae TL, whatever you prefer, added to his highlight reel with a game winner over the Sixers Saturday night. And over the course of the season, he has closed the gap on Luka Doncic for the Rookie of the Year award. Both are playing tonight. Luka has advantages in most statistical categories, and because Trae struggled early in the season, Doncic also had a head start. So in your minds, given what Trae has done here post-All-Star, how much closer is he to having a shot at this thing?
I don't think he's closer. I think it's Luka's award. He's been consistently himself over the course of the year. I think he's at an advantage. And me and Griff talked about that. He's in an advantage because he's played professional basketball longer.
Right.
And in some sense, he's a newcomer rather than a rookie. But yeah, it's his award. Trae is making a case at the end of the year, and he's coming on strong, but he hasn't done enough to overtake a guy who's been consistently the best player on that team all year long, and he has an amazing future going forth of being one of the top 10 players in our league.
Yeah, I think, and you touched on it, I think this is another good example. Last year was another case. Ben Simmons got to, let's call it redshirt a year in Philadelphia, and then he comes out and he plays having all of that experience under his belt during the time he was rehabbing his injury.
Blake Griffin did the same thing.
Right. You come into a situation, you're either a true rookie or you're not. Trae Young is a true rookie.
True.
Luka Doncic was the best player on the best team in the best league outside of the United States. He came into this already an MVP of a professional league playing against grown men. This is not a rookie. This is a guy who had a huge head start in the process.
Yeah.
He should have been better from the very beginning because he's been playing against grown men.
Right.
And so this is a really interesting thing for me. I've said the same thing about the MVP award. Let's have an offensive player of the year and a most valuable player like the NFL does. Why wouldn't we have a newcomer of the year award, which would take into account when the best newcomer happens to be Jorge Garbajosa, and he's 30 years old from Unicaja, Spain. You can reward Garbajosa, and then you can have a Rookie of the Year. It's a fascinating dilemma, but if we're going to call it just the rookie, it's Luka.
Right. First of all, I love that Jorge Garbajosa has made it into the show. Right?
Right.
I mean, that's pretty spectacular. But I get your point entirely. As things are constructed, Luka Doncic is an NBA rookie. He has not played in the league prior to this season, and therefore he's eligible for the award, the way Ichiro was in Major League Baseball, despite the fact that he'd been playing professionally in Japan for 10 years or something.
And I don't say that to take anything away from
No, I get it.
Luka's
It's
accomplished.
not a knock at all,
Right.
but he is sort of a separate category. And that was something people talked about before his season even began, the fact that as a 19-year-old, he dominated the second best league in the world amongst grown men.
And that speaks to the globalization of our game. So it's not a knock on Luka. It's just that our game has gotten bigger in the scope of we're getting players that are sometimes more advanced than others, and we have to evolve as a game. The NBA has to bring in a different consideration to make these categories fair for the people that own the titles.
And with these Euro guys, you do occasionally get 30-year-old rookies coming in and playing, whether they're as good as Doncic has been or not. They're there and they're technically rookies.